So today I'm going to discuss the accompaniment element of LCMEs, or as everybody still refers to them, RGT's acoustic guitar exams. Now a number of queries do come in regarding the accompaniment section, so today I thought I'd kind of outline exactly what happens during the accompaniment part of the exam, as well as kind of playing through a few examples across a few of the grades to demonstrate the kind of level you should be aiming towards as a player, and hopefully help with a little bit of the practice at home and help you with preparing towards your exam. So first of all, what actually happens during the accompaniment section of an exam? So the examiner will play a melody for you. Now that examiner might play it live on a guitar or piano, or they might play it via their laptop or CD player or whatever, and you are to accompany them using the chords which are on the chord chart that you're given in the exam. And unsurprisingly, that part of the exam is there to assess your ability to accompany a melody. Now do remember that the accompaniment part of the exam is an unseen test, which means that the first time that you see the chord chart will be on the day of the exam, all right? So as opposed to like the rhythm playing study where you will have had months beforehand to prepare, this is something that you only see in the exam on the day. But that does not mean, of course, that you can't practice and work towards it in the lead up to the exam, and hopefully today I'm going to kind of show you how you might go about doing that. So in the exam, the melody will be played once for the candidate just to listen, all right? So the examiner will play it, you don't have to do anything, you're just going to listen, okay? And then they'll stop and then they will play it a further 3 times, of which you are assessed on the last 2 playings. So you might want to use that first of the 3 to kind of get used to the rhythm, perhaps think about some chord voicings and just get the feel in your head. Okay, so let's have a play through some examples. So I've taken these examples from the LCM website where you can download the backing tracks and the charts, so there's plenty to practice with. So a few general tips. First of all, time signature. Pay very, very careful attention to the time signature, particularly as you go up through the higher grades. Everybody's of course used to playing in 4/4, but if you just assume that it's 4/4 and it's not 4/4, you could land yourself in trouble. The first thing I usually suggest doing when you hear the melody for the first time is determining where the pulse is, which is essentially where you would clap or tap your foot, right? Because that's going to, of course, inform the bar lengths and where the chord changes occur. Now, I'd also always suggest that for the first playthrough with the examiner, with your guitar in hand, so that's the first of the 3, which you're not being assessed on, of course, I would just get used to playing 1 strum per bar. So you really nail down where that first beat of the bar is, so that for repeats 2 and 3, you'll hopefully feel more comfortable and you can start to sort of add some inventiveness if you feel you can. Do remember that the chords on the accompaniment chart are grade specific, so they should be chords that you already know or that you've learned in previous grades. Now I'd also just mention something I like to call damage limitation here. So what I mean by this is if, for example, you saw an A-7 chord on the chord chart and you couldn't remember what that was, an A minor will do, an A5 might even do. If you didn't know what an E flat major 7 chord was, but it was on your accompaniment chart, you'll probably get away with an E flat. Now I'm not suggesting that ignoring all the chord extensions is going to get you top marks at all. You'll of course need to have all the correct chord extensions to get the best marks, but what I mean is it's better to prioritize the continuity of your accompaniment, and if you can just get by with a couple of chords and it means you're still accompanying the melody, that's more important than leaving a gap or completely pausing and freezing. So here's a playthrough a grade 2 chord chart. Now please bear in mind all of these examples are just examples. They are just there to provide you with an idea of the sort of thing that you should play. Now I have pitched this at a sort of level whereby, to be honest, if you're able to play at this sort of level in the exam, you're gonna be certainly up at sort of high marks distinction level, if not even full marks if it's played really, really well. But yeah, it's just examples to give you an idea of the sort of thing that you should be aiming for. Right, so notice how all the chords were played hopefully clean and in time. It was pretty straightforward strumming pattern, which I just repeated through both repeats, which is okay at grade 2. All the chords were of course open chords because that's what you've learned at grade 2. Also just bear in mind that the very last chord is just played as a single strum to signify the end, and that's okay to do across all of the grades. Okay, so next up is grade 5. I'm going to be doing accompaniment chart number 3. There's some bar chords involved, and I'm going to add a little bit of variation in my playing. Okay, so there's some variation on the repeat. The first time I play kind of, a sort of arpeggio, 2 individual notes and then the rest of the chord, which just breaks it up nicely. And then the second time I changed with some strumming, just adding the sort of dotted rhythm, that kind of thing. Now that was kind of taken roughly sort of from the melody dun, 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 that I kind of heard. So yeah, a few different things added in there at grade 5. Now obviously it goes without saying that grade 5 your chords should be nice and clear. If you're finding it hard with bar chords and they sound like that, and you're not going to get yourself up to the sort of higher echelons of the mark. So focus on making sure all of your bar chords are nice and clear, and then you can start to think more about sort of how you could be inventive with the accompaniment when you're practicing it at home. So lastly, I'm going to run through a chord chart at grade 8. I've chosen chord chart number 1. So in that example, 2 different repeats, 2 different approaches. The first was just kind of arpeggios, the second of which was kind of more sort of just following the chords. It's a difficult chart, it's 3 chords to a bar in some places. You've really got to keep up. I didn't put any dynamics in there, worth bearing that in mind. And to be honest with you, even at this level, to be able to walk in to an exam and see that chord chart for the very first time and be able to play and keep up and remain in time and play with clarity and all the rest of it, let's face it, it's pretty difficult. What I'm getting at with these examples is that at least it gives you a frame of reference to work towards, that you could maybe take what I did there and try and apply that to the other charts at grade 8. You could take what I did at grade 2 and apply that idea to the other charts. At least that's a way of sort of working towards, trying to sort of get better at the nature of accompaniment, and I can guarantee that it will make you feel more comfortable and you will perform better in your exam. But look, I hope that's given you some ideas and give you some thoughts. If you've got any questions about any part of this part of the exam or anything else, do just let me know. Always happy to help, and I hope to see you next time.